minus 20 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
I'm supposed to be the franchise player, and we're in here talking about practice. I mean, listen, we talking about practice. Not a game. We talking about practice.
Yeah.
Not a game.
Me. Bam. Me, man.
Not a game.
Slap that like she scored 30.
What are we even talking about, man? We talking about sports here.
Oh, she like the way that I dance.
What's up, guys? Week 7, we're back here. Sunday fun day. How's it going, Ron and Ben? How are you guys doing?
Shit.
Good morning.
The party's still fucking going, baby. She like the way that I dance. She like the way that I move.
We got Pop Smoke with us on the podcast today, but yeah, bro, our teams are on a bye week, but we're not taking the bye week this Sunday. We're gonna be here with some fantasy analysis, break down some of these games, give some plays away.
Week 7, it's the bipocalypse.
Yeah. So a lot of tough decisions having to be made this week with fantasy football. Extra stressful week for sure this week.
Yeah, and I know there were some complaints about a little too much Cowboys talk this past Thursday, but they are on a bye. They are on a bye this week, so don't worry about it. We won't talk about them other than just the bye week recap that we'll get to a little bit later on. But yeah, without further ado, man, it's week 7. Let's get into it. I think we got the weather report coming up. Let me see here.
Week 7, like Trayvon Diggs, bro.
All right, so the weather, I mean, the first game is already out of the way. Broncos and Browns, and Mondo just chimed in. His Broncos had a tough loss on Thursday, but
right on time for him to defend himself again.
One of the more popular games this week, and it has one of the higher totals, is the Chiefs and the Titans. There are 11-mile-per-hour winds there. Other than that, it's a pretty good day of football. The Eagles and Raiders got some wind down there in Vegas. And then the 49ers and Colts got some wind. I think it's like 16 miles an hour. So
ain't going to be no wind in Vegas.
Pretty clear. No rain on site that I can see. So pretty much a good day of football. The other thing that you just have to worry about is the injuries and the buys at this point, because weather looks pretty good.
Yeah, nothing sticks out to me. It'll be a good day of football.
Mondo's on the show because he didn't do shit last night.
That's why he's up early. And ready
thanks for being here, Mondo. Injury report, not as long as it was these past few weeks. We did take some people out that were there on the IR. These are just people that are here playing today, or that aren't playing today for that matter. Latavius Murray, Sammy Watkins for the Ravens are both out. So maybe Rashad Bateman, the rookie receiver, might get some looks today for the Ravens. Curtis Samuel, he's out. He's been out for the past couple of weeks, trying to come back for the Washington football team. Taylor Lewin, starting tackle for the Titans. I think he picked up this injury last week. He's been injured these past few weeks. I know he got hurt in run-throughs the week before last. So he's been hurt, and he's out again today. And I know they have that high-profile matchup against the Chiefs. Trey Lance, he's out. Jimmy G, he's in. You see him on the list there. Braden Smith is still out for the Colts, and T.Y. Hilton came back last week, but it looks like he's out today. Saquon, Kenny G, and Tony for the Giants are all out. And then the big names here at the bottom, Antonio Brown and Rob Gronkowski are both out, along with Levante David and Richard Sherman on defense. So a bunch of guys out for the Bucs today. They are big favorites against the Bears. We'll get to that a little bit later. Lastly on the list are the questionable and game-time decisions. Hawkinson and Swift for the Lions are both suited up, ready to go. Chris Jones, the tackle or defensive tackle for the Chiefs, he's good to go. Julio Jones, likely to play. I know he picked up that hamstring injury, and you're always worried with those hamstrings, but he looks to be good to go. Alex Collins, he picked up a groin injury. He's ready to go, according to to Pete Carroll. Jimmy G, he's likely to play. I know he's been out the past few weeks, but the bye week this past week kind of helped him out. So it looks like he's good to go against the Colts for Sunday Night Football. And the latest addition to the injury report is Darren Waller. Tight end for the Raiders. He's questionable. He says that he's not feeling good. It's truly going to be a game time decision. They play at 325. I know a lot of people have him either as a tight end or maybe even a flex in some cases. What do you guys think about that, Ben? I know you're an owner of Darren Waller. What are you thinking about doing with him, man?
I have Waller on the same team I have Antonio Brown, and we got hit with that AB news late in the week. So he's out. You know, you fill in a bench guy that you're the only bench guy that you have through this bipocalypse. And now we get the news about Darren Waller. So am I going to drop somebody to fill my tight end position? I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to drop anybody. I might. I really hope that he plays. There is a couple of options out there, but I'd have to drop somebody like Zach Moss to pick up that, you know, just filler tight end for this week. I don't know if I'm going to do it yet. I'm going to see how I'm sitting after the noon games.
Diego dropped Alex Collins. That's a big drop.
Yeah,
I feel like that's a big drop.
We've been saying load him up, so yeah. But
Penny coming back from IR, but on this, man, that Darren Waller is huge, bro. That Darren Waller is huge. I mean, I think like you guys were in the situation last week about maybe not starting a kicker, or Ben said he might not start a defense. I think that you have to plug in somebody, though, dog. I mean, you know, even if you have to drop somebody, I think that, you know, you have to plug in a tight end. I mean, you have to, regardless. I mean, your roster has to be full no matter what, because you never know. But
I more than likely am. But, you know, you might just get one of your guys that goes off for 30, 40 points in the noon games, and you're sitting all right, and you don't have to drop somebody. You could just – we'll see. But more than likely, I will be adding somebody.
I like Byron Jones. That's a name that we haven't heard in a while since he was with the Cowboys. So ex-Cowboy there that nobody cares about now because he sucks and he's on a shitty spot.
Him and Xavier Howard. That's a high-profile secondary right there for the Dolphins.
Trash asset.
Two highly paid guys. Two guys that are still pretty capable in terms of talent. Xavier Howard is thought of as probably being maybe one of the best corners in the game. They're both out for their matchup against the Falcons. And I know we're going to talk about the Falcons a little bit later. But two high-profile injuries, and they're both game-time decisions down there for the Miami matchup.
I'll ask y'all just real quick, if there was one position in fantasy football that maybe you'd be okay without rostering, tight end, kicker, or defense, I think are the only three that are, you know, options. Would you not roster one of those? Or would you roster every position no matter what?
It's probably defense that I would go without. And it's probably just because if at that point in the week, if I don't have a defense, it's probably because there's really nobody that's even worth rostering. Like, if I put them out there, I'd probably risk getting, like, negative points. So it's not even worth it at that point. So it'll probably be defense is the only one. But I always try and start everybody if I can.
That's exactly what I was going to say, is between those three, the defense, the kicker, and the tight end, only one of them can give you negative points, and that's the defense. If you have to not start somebody, then fuck it, don't start a defense.
That's a good point.
That's a little risky though, you know, because there's how many times have you been in a game and you lose by half a point, 2 points?
Even those 4
you know
or
what
5
I'm saying?
Points. Yeah, those 4 or 5
are
points.
crucial.
That's what you're risking.
# crucial catch NFL.
Nice. And then the last three guys here on the list are all Patriots defensive players: Donta Hightower, David Gacho, and Jonathan Jones. Secondary, linebacker, and defensive tackle are all questionable. We all know the Patriots defense is their strength, but that's about it for the injury report. If we missed anybody, go ahead and put it in the chat, or if you guys think of anybody along the way, or if we get any updates, because they're going to be coming while we're on. So let you guys know if anybody comes out injured. Bye week blues. Went over this on Thursday. Same stuff. You know, some big name teams are out. You got the Bills, Jags, Vikings, Steelers, Cowboys, Chargers. Some of the main fantasy players this year are all on bye this week. A lot of guys are scrambling.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people have these guys stacked. Like, I know there's a lot of Allens and Diggs combos out there.
Yeah. I have Eckler and Mike Will.
There you go, Eckler, Mike Will. You all these are all offenses that you want part of, like Prescott and Cooper. I know there's a ton of that out there.
There's
Prescott
a lot of Prescott and
CD.
Zeke.
There's a ton, yeah, Prescott and Zeke. Bad week for Cowboys fans because I know Cowboys fans like to get their Cowboys fantasy players on their team. So bad week for a lot of teams out there. But are any of you guys affected personally? I know Ron, you said you had some guys that are out. I got Zeke out in my big league, and I'm struggling at running back this week. So we'll see what happens. What about you, Ben?
For me, it's Bills players. I have Josh Allen out. I have Diggs out. I have Moss out. Have the defense out. Bass out in leagues. And other than that, I mean, I have CeeDee Lamb in one and Zeke in another. But I mean, it sucks, bro. It sucks because those are your big time players. Those are the guys that are usually your 20 plus.
Yep.
You know what I mean? They're all the high ranked players in fantasy. So yeah, I'm feeling it.
Yeah, man, it's a tough week. A lot of people might just chalk this week up as an L, depending on how your team is drafted. But I think you were talking about it on Thursday. If you have a bunch of these guys, your team is more than likely with a winning record because these players are all the top guys in fantasy right now. Herbert, Eckler, Allen, Williams, they're down there at the bottom. And then don't want to get into all the other names, but this is a pretty stacked list of fantasy players to be out in 1 week. So good luck to everybody that are dealing with the bye week blues. I know I'm dealing with them. So we'll talk about it on Thursday.
Hey, just to get to Martin's comment in the comment section, but he says one ruined fantasy, no Cowboys on my team. But listen,
there you go.
As a Cowboys hater myself, Martin, I would think that that's a good rule. But when you're in a league full of Cowboys fans, get them on your team, bro. Trade them; they'll overpay every time. So I say get Cowboys, and you're able to trade them. I traded Amari Cooper for Darrell Henderson straight up to a Cowboys fan. So I think get Cowboys, and this is a year where you want Cowboys. So any year but this year on that one.
First of all, you know what fucking team Martin likes, or you know what he's a fan of?
No,
he has no fucking say so on the show.
The Lions? Is it the Lions?
He's a fucking Lions fan. Yes.
That's brutal.
Oh, fucking Martin cannot come on here saying anything.
That's brutal.
It is.
Well, thanks for the comment, Martin.
Yeah, thank you. He's actually making the cake for my wedding. So, Martin, shout out.
Shout out, Martin.
Thank you.
Shout out, Martin.
Shout out, Martin. If you need a cake for anything, hit him up.
There you go.
All right.
All right, our fan mailbag. It's a little light this week, so if you guys have any questions in the comments, go ahead and throw them in. If you guys have any questions, fantasy related, stardom, sit-em, trade questions, anything going on in your leagues, go ahead and put them up here. So we got one question here. It has to do with Waller because this was late news. It came out this morning, being added to the injury report. Any streaming options available this week? The news is late. You're probably already dry on the waiver wire in terms of players available at this point in the season and at this point in the week. So what are your options at this point?
Higbee is an option that's out there if he's not rostered in leagues, and they do play in the later window, or they might play in the earlier window. That's
tricky because he does play at 325, and
right. So he plays in the later window, and then OJ Howard, like somebody mentioned in the comments, Lennon Lilly. I picked up OJ Howard. He has a 4:00 game, so that would be 3:00 to us. That's East Coast time. So I can swap him for Waller if we find out he's out at kickoff. I think that's the plan that I might go with because OJ Howard's not somebody that's rostered in many leagues. A lot of Gronk owners, and if not, they're taking everybody else on the offense but OJ Howard. So me personally, I would go OJ Howard, Higbee. I see Alex in the comments saying Uzma. Personally, I would
the Bengals,
yeah. I would go OJ Howard, but Uzma does that. The Bengals play early, so you would have to roster him in before knowing if Waller is out for sure or not. I'll go OJ Howard.
Ends up playing.
Right. You start Uzma and then Waller plays. I mean, but for the Bucks, no Howard, no AB, no Gronk. So that's Godwin and Evans. I mean, there has to be somebody else. Maybe we see
it would be either Howard or Brait. Those are the only guys.
Yeah, exactly. Or maybe Scotty Miller. Or who's that? Is that guy still with them? That little receiver who made some noise last year?
I think he is.
But OJ Howard had a touchdown last week, so I like him as a red zone option.
I mean, I would go Zach Ertz, bro, the biggest tight end name.
He's rostered.
Trade. I mean,
Yeah, I'm sure Zach Ertz is rostered in a lot of leagues, but he's
okay. So then,
so
then go with Dallas. Go Dirt, or whatever.
Goddard,
however you want to say his name.
Goddard
yeah.
might be a guy who's out there. Waller is out. Is this breaking news here by Joseph?
Okay.
Yeah, so you could do maybe Ricky Seals Jones with that Logan Thomas.
You see, that's a good option right there.
Yeah, Ricky Seals Jones at the Packers. I mean, the Packers don't have a great defense. I mean, we know that Washington might be behind today, so they're going to want to be throwing the ball. So Ricky Seals Jones could be an option, and I doubt he's fucking rostered in less than half of the leagues.
That's a good option right there, Ron.
Great point, Ron. Thank you. We talking about sports.
All right. Well, if there's no other questions here, we're just gonna go ahead and move on to the next one.
I'm trying to get this official Waller stuff. I'm not saying we don't trust Joseph, but I gotta see with my own two eyes, Joseph.
All right. Our must starts of the week. This is one of our I guess I like this slide here. I mean, I've been off the last 2 weeks, but we'll see what happens. I got A.J. Brown versus Kansas City. I'm just picking on Kansas City's defense here. They're ranked 32nd for a reason. They give it up. So I'm going to go with A.J. Brown to get going. He got going on Monday or whenever they played against the Bills. So he had 7 catches for 90 yards. I think he's going to come through, score a touchdown this week. Give me some A.J. Brown, especially with Julio Jones a little hampered. So I'll give me A.J. Brown.
I like that, bro. I like that a lot. I actually drafted him. I drafted him pretty high, and he hasn't done much for the year. So hopefully, coming off that injury, he does pretty well. We saw what the Titans did last week. Tandy's still a solid quarterback with Julio being banged up, and we know that King Henry's the go-to guy there. But I mean, you got to throw the ball, and hopefully they throw it to AJ Brown. Maybe some off some play action, get Kansas City collapsing on the run. So I like that. I like that pick a lot, man. AJ Brown.
Yeah. For me, I'm going with the not so popular one for sure. You can pick this guy up off your waiver wire if you have Josh Allen. For sure. If you have Josh Allen, if you have Dak Prescott, if you have maybe Kirk Cousins, Matt Ryan is a guy that I think that you can pivot to this week. They're playing against the Dolphins. We saw Matt Ryan kind of get it going a bit with Pitts, in the London game where they beat the Jets. They had the bye week. Stephon Ridley is back and activated. Mm-hmm. Roland mentioned in the injury report how those DBs are out for the Miami Dolphins. So everything is setting up for Matt Ryan to get two plus touchdowns this week. I'm looking for Matt Ryan to give me 20 points. I'm plugging him in today as my must start.
And Ben, that was actually an option for me, man, because I have going back to the bye week blues. I have Herbie, and I have him in two out of my 3 leagues. So Justin Herbert is not playing this week, obviously because of the bye, and they came down to Tua Tagovailoa or Matt Ryan, and I went with Tua because he's a little bit more mobile than Matt Ryan, but that was somebody who I was considering on my bye week was Matt Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, they're playing each other. The Falcons defense doesn't put up much resistance. Tua, you saw 2 passing touchdowns from him, so it's not a horrible option either. I just see the Falcons winning today, and I see, them doing it through the air.
As a streaming quarterback option, what do you guys think about Jameis? With a lot of guys out.
No Taysom Hill. He's been ruled out tonight, so, he still doesn't get Mike Thomas back. I think it's a decent option, but anytime that you turn to Jameis, he lets you down. He has that letdown game. Jameis always goes off when you have him benched. Yeah. And that one week you pivot to Jameis, and especially in prime time, man, he might just shit himself tonight. So I don't feel comfortable starting Jameis. I don't.
I feel you.
Jameis wins.
Question. What about you, Ron? Who's your must start?
Mike Evans, man. Mike Evans, as you mentioned, obviously there's no Gronk. We know AB Boomin is out as well. So Brady, I mean, again, I said he has to throw it to somebody, man. And he was quiet last week. He only had 4 fantasy points, but the week before he had 29. Then he had 14, 18, and 24. So I mean, a consistent, double-digit fantasy receiver that you have in Mike Evans. He's averaging 6.5 receptions, 93 receiving yards, and a touchdown and 10 targets in his previous 4 games. He's 28 years old. He's a young guy. I came out earlier in the year saying that he's going to want to break out because he is a little bit in the shadow there, because you have Godwin, who's a sleeper that people talk about. You have Gronk, then you have Boomin, and he's kind of that forgotten guy, man. I mean, this is a wide receiver 1 there before those guys got there.
This season, he's been the forgotten guy. I agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, and he has. And if this guy is on half of the other teams in the league, he's the wide receiver 1 without a doubt. But he does get overshadowed by Brady and, the things that they try to do there, even still with Fournette running the ball. So I think this is an opportunity for him to break out against the Bears, who we know have, Khalil Mack, and, they're going to rush, and they have a strong front 7, but their secondary is a little questionable. So I would definitely start Mike Evans this week.
I like that, Ron. And Mike Evans with Rob Gronkowski out. Mike Evans was already a good red zone target. And now you add that, his red zone target is going to be even bigger. So
yeah, that famous line that you said, Roland. You're like, what?
Oh, 2 targets,
2 targets, 2 catches, 2 yards, and 2 tutties.
Yeah, that's Mike Evans' line.
Productive, baby.
Even with Rob Gronkowski out, I like Mike Evans. He's going to get a touchdown today. You have to think with that large line at -11.5, -12. The Bucks are going to put it on the Bears, so I like that pick.
And Justin went deep in his bag, a player we've never even heard of for the St. Louis Rams.
I was going to say
Bobby Trees might be making an appearance for the Rams tonight. Okay, Robert Woods.
There we go.
Okay,
we got Robert Woods versus Detroit. Detroit, we all know 0-5. The Rams are what, -16? They're 16-point favorites or something like that.
That's a huge.
They're going to put up points.
Huge spread.
They're going to put up points. So we'll see.
I was like Bobby Trees.
Monumental spreads.
Saludos, Bulls. Saludos.
All right. Well, it's time to get into one of the main reasons why we're here, and that's that we like to get into the games and go against the spread and hit the over-unders. Ben, why don't you take us through the trends for Week 7?
Yeah, some trends for this week. Maybe go into play with us making our picks that we're going to be getting into for our little super contest. But for Week 7, we got the Bengals. They played 5 unders in a row. We know today they got the Ravens. The over/under set at 45.5. So 2 pretty stingy defenses. The Bengals defense has been pretty underrated. So the Bengals have been trending under this season. The Panthers unders are 6-1 their last 7 as a road favorite. They are 3-point favorites today in New York. We know how horrible New York is at home, and here's 2 trends to back that up. Giants 0-7 against the spread last 7 in October home games. So they're horrible at home. Danny Dimes usually plays his best football on the road. That is where they got that win, the one win that they went in and beat New Orleans. Can you believe that they beat the New Orleans Saints, bro, and took us out of Survivor? This shitty Giants team, man.
And
crazy.
They had Saquon Barkley back, who was playing at full strength for like the 1 game out of the year.
Yeah, crazy. Giants to the under, 6-0-1 last 7 home games, so they stink it up at home. Look for the Panthers in that one. Titans overs 8-1 last 9 as an underdog. You got really, really high total, 57.5. They're playing the Chiefs today. You got to think, who stops Derrick Henry? Who stops Patrick Mahomes in that offense? So overs trending there. Chiefs 1-9 ATS, last 10 versus an AFC opponent in October. We've seen the Titans, give them hell in the playoffs one year, and the Chiefs come back and beat them. So I think it's going to be a heavy dose of Derrick Henry today, and if they can keep, Mahomes off the field, they've got a shot. The Raiders to the overs, 5-1 last 6 home games, over under 48.5. The Colts, the Raiders play the Eagles today. So the Eagles also have an over trend here. Eagles to the over, 13-2, last 15 on the road versus the AFC. So that game trends to the over. Raiders against Eagles. Bears in the unders, 15-2 as a double-digit road dog. Today they're on the road against the Packers. Division game. You've heard Aaron Rodgers say that he owns the Bears. Expect it to be a pretty gritty game. All the attention on Devontae Adams. And the Colts to the overs, 13-1-1.
Bears are playing the Bucks.
Oh, I'm sorry, the Bucks. So that was last week, right?
Yeah,
that Rodgers said that he owned the Bears. Oh, and Brady now plays them. Yeah. Well, the Bears are a running team, and they shouldn't be able to run on the Bucks. So that should trend under it regardless. But yeah, those are the trends for week 7. And a lot of these trends are teams that are playing against each other, and they, both trend a certain way. So I'm going to be on a couple of these overs today.
Nice. Yeah, I like that Eagles and Raiders over potentially. Yeah. Those are two teams that like to air it out. So maybe there's some points there. And also that is pretty high, but the Chiefs and Titans, those defenses are both ranked towards the bottom. I know the Titans defense is a little banged up, and the Chiefs can't stop anybody. So I definitely like that total too.
They could stop the Bills on 4th and 1, rolling from the 5.
And then against the spread too, man, you guys are going to talk about it here a little bit later, but I like that that Giants trend, 0-7 against the spread, the last 7 October home games.
And you got to think that coach, Joe Judge, man, he's got to be.
They're banged up. They're banged up. They're without their top 3 weapons.
Evan Ingram is playing today. I did see
there you go, Evan Ingram.
He is active. Yeah, Evan Ingram is active for the quarter that he'll last.
Oh. All right.
Let's get to the picks.
Let's get to it. It's getting close to 11 o'clock here. Thank you to everybody that's been with us. Thank you to everybody who's logged on or still watching. Appreciate the watches.
Get on that, Edgar!
This is our super contest.
Puro Mission High Eagles in the house.
There we go. Thank you, Edgar. It's our super contest. We're 6 weeks through. We do 3 picks a week. Our records through the 6 weeks or through the 6 week mark. Justin is at 13-5. I'm at
Puro
9-9. Ron is 10-8. I'm 9-9, and Ben is 8-10.
Oh,
nah,
like the Chiefs. I'm like the Chiefs, bro. I'm gonna get it right.
Yeah, I got a little bit of a comeback season going on right now, so let's get it. Let's get it right. I'll kick us off with my picks for the first week 7 pick. Is Kansas City -4, the Eagles +3, and the Bengals +6.5. Kansas City, I think they're starting to hit a little bit of a stride. I think they played well last week. I think they're going to get a good favorable matchup against the Titans, who did play that Monday night game against the Bills. They are on short rest. I know the Titans are at home, but the Titans don't have the best defense either. So I'm going to go with the Chiefs to go ahead and hang up about 31 points, which is what they're going to have to do to win these games. So I like them to win and cover. I don't think the Titans are going to be able to keep up with them. And then we go the Eagles against the Raiders. The Eagles are on the road, but I do like the Eagles +3. Darren Waller might be out. We all know the Raiders. They responded in a big way by winning their game last week with the John Gruden news. Coming out with him with those emails and him getting kicked out of the franchise. So I'm going to go with the Eagles here. Kind of a letdown spot for the Raiders off of an emotional victory last week. So give me the Eagles +3 and then add it even more if Darren Waller is out, but more to come at 3 o'clock. And then my last pick is the Bengals again, +6.5. I like this spot. I was on the Ravens last week. For a lot of the reasons why I took the Ravens last week is why I'm going to take the Bengals, because I think the Ravens, it's a little bit of a letdown spot. They've been playing these high emotion games. This was a big game that they just won against the Chargers. They were both 4-1 at that point, so they won the game in big fashion, or in a big way, excuse me. And I like the Bengals. Their defense is good. Joe Burrow's warming up. That offense is pretty good. They got a lot of weapons out there on the perimeter, and you got Joe Mixon. So give me the Bengals. I don't know if they're there yet to win this game, but I like them to keep it close. And I like the 6.5. I think this is going to be a field goal game. Give me the Bengals +6.5.
I like that. I think Alex was in the chat earlier too, and he liked that pick as well. So I'm going to go with San Francisco, the Eagles, and Washington. San Francisco has let me see who they're playing. I'm sorry.
They're playing the Colts.
Yeah, they're playing the Colts. I believe they're at home. We know that the Colts are capable of a late game collapse, which I think I see happening here. It could be a close game the whole way, and then the Niners just pull away at the end to cover that -4 spread. The Eagles +3. I mean, they're that backdoor team, man. You know, they're that backdoor team. They did it last week to cover the 6. Was it 6.5 or 7.5? I believe. So I'm gonna go with the Eagles. They are playing the Raiders, and just like Roland touched on, there's fucking turmoil there. I'm going with the Washington football team also plus 8.5. Yes, they're playing the Packers, but 8.5 is a lot. You're getting more than a touchdown, and I like the backdoor there a lot. We know what Green Bay's offense can do, but their defense is always suspect. And Heineke he can sling it. You know, now does he get him wins? Not necessarily, but 8.5 is still a lot of points. So those are my picks for the week.
The Eagles one I liked, and I almost put it on, but I mean, you all had it on there. And the thing that scared me off of that one is Jalen Hurts back-to-back weeks throwing under 200 yards. Like he's been getting it done as far as statistic-wise, and like Ron said, getting in there, sneaking in backdoor. Yeah, backdoor and covering spreads. But man, it's like hold your nose the whole game that you're watching the Eagles. So
Justin's favorite backdoor.
And then I got the Panthers -3 against the Giants. We talked about all the trends that go against the Giants at home and in October. So I also got the Falcons. I have Matt Ryan having a big week this week, them getting back on track. And I'm going to pick on the Miami Dolphins. I think that there's turmoil over there. We've heard all about the Deshaun Watson trade that was supposed to happen by the end of this week. The Texans didn't want Tua in the trade, so they've been trying to find a suitor for Tua. I mean, Tua can't feel that good. He just came back from injury. They're going through that. Devontae Parker has been ruled out. You know, they have Waddle, they have Fuller, the running backs. You never know who's going to get the ball. So I'm going with the Falcons to get a win here at -1.5. And then Bill Belichick against rookie quarterbacks. And then this one's at home. They smacked them earlier in the year in New York, 31-6, 27-6. They only got to win by a touchdown here after a loss like they had last week to the Cowboys. I think this is a perfect get-right game and a division opponent who you have to beat because it is the Jets.
The Patriots have to win this game.
Yeah.
Patriots have to win this game.
Jets, Jets.
And then we'll go over the 3 picks that Justin copied from our card, and he took Panthers 13-5. He took Panthers -3. He took Falcons -1.5, and he took the Chiefs -4. So
and there's 32 teams in the league, bro. There's at least about unos 16.
Hey,
at least unos 12 weeks.
You can't take the Cowboys this week.
So Justin
has had the Cowboys on his card pretty much every week, and the Rams, but the spread is pretty high for the Rams today.
So 2 out of your 3 picks just so happen to be on Justin's card as well. And then he's like, "Oh, I need another one. Who does Roland have?"
Hey, there the Chiefs. He ain't taking any of yours, cuz we'll see who has the better week. We'll see who has the better week.
All right. Nah, shout out to Justin.
All right, the parlay of the day. There's a little bit of juice on this one because these 2 teams are highly favored. They're both more favorites of 7 or more, with the Packers at 8.5, as Ron was on the other side with the Washington football team, and the Patriots are 7-point favorites. Parlay them on the money line, you get -150. It's pretty safe. I think you can stack it up a little bit in terms of your units. I don't see either of these teams losing unless the rookie quarterbacks that they're going. Wait, who the Packers playing? Packers are playing the Washington football team too. Yeah, unless the quarterbacks go off for some reason. But I don't see that.
Ron, you have the Washington football team plus the 8.5, but do you see any way that they win the game outright?
He just said backdoor. He said he liked the backdoor opportunity.
Oh, you know it, baby. I love backdoor action. No, man, I don't see the Washington football team winning at all. I mean, it's Aaron Rodgers at home. Even if Washington is winning fucking, 58 minutes of the game, what are the quarters? 15 minutes, right? Even if they're winning like 59 minutes and 30 seconds of the game, you give Aaron Rodgers the ball with 30 seconds left, and he's going to go out and he's going to get you that W. So I don't see Washington football team winning the game. So I love Green Bay as part of the parlay of the day here, man.
Yeah, I think I went. I mean, we'll get to my play after, but I like it. I mean, I'm on it just in a different way. Just, it's not necessarily money line, but the juice is shorter on teaser.
I see. And Diego's on here. Diego's in the chat. So as we know, man, y'all want to make it in these plays. You've seen our records. Everybody but Ben is, above.
Paying me. They've been
above
saying pay me
500.
since 2 weeks ago.
Promo code WTBS at BetKing Online on Twitter. We appreciate all the love, man. We had a contest last week. I think what we're gonna start doing is maybe, I don't know, for every 50 subscribers, we'll call it the 50-piece contest. For every 50 subscribers that we get, we'll do the free entry again. Some dude won $50 with a free entry just because he went to Twitter and stumbled upon our contest. So if you guys are on Twitter, follow us there. Follow BetKing Online. This is where you can make all your bets. And for every 50 subscribers we get, we'll do another contest for you guys, bro. I think we're a little above 60 right now. We're at like 61, 62 subscribers. So if we get to 100, we'll throw another contest for you guys.
Some pretty high scores in that contest.
Yeah.
Pretty high scores in that
there was, dude. Like I think the guy won like 170 almost. Yeah. Fucking nuts.
All right. This is my teaser of the day. Been doing these every Sunday. It's a different teaser. I usually do the 2-point, the 2-team 7-point teasers. I'm doing a 3-team teaser just because there's some numbers that I liked. It's the Packers, Bengals, and the Bucks. So you get the Bengals plus 16.5. You get the Packers all the way down to plus 1.5, which pretty much is getting to win the game. And same thing with the Bucks, getting them down to -2. So three teams, 10-point teaser. And yeah, that's where I'm at right here.
Treyway, you like it? You like the 3-way, right? Better than the.
That's the sweetheart, the sweetheart teasers they call it.
Hey.
Yeah, and so for my teaser, this is pretty much like the parlay, except it's -1 and -2. I think the key number is 3. Although with all the missed extra points that we see nowadays, maybe the 2 does come into play on this teaser with the Packers. Mason Crosby, we saw the scare that he gave his whole team a couple weeks ago against the Bears or the Bengals.
Yeah.
But yeah, give me the Patriots -1 pretty much just to win, and the Packers -2 to at least win by a field goal at home. Last week we were able to get the teaser home, and this one I like it just as much.
There we go.
I love it.
All right. Around the league. The one thing I wanted to ask, and I guess I was going to wait for this slide, was there's 2 pretty big lines out there this week. I think the Cardinals. They're 18-point favorites against the Texans, and the Cardinals are at home. And the Rams are 16-point favorites.
That's fucking crazy.
Against who are they playing? The Lions. Do you like either of these teams to cover? Oh, and the Bucks are 12 or 11.5-point favorites.
Yeah, if you have to take one, which of the 3 are you taking?
If I have to take one to cover.
One favorite to cover and one underdog to cover in those 3 games.
Man, you know what?
What are they again? What are they again?
Arizona -18, the Rams 16, and the Bucks -11.5 because Diego just posted it in here. So
yeah. So it's on the screen. Rams against the Lions. Matthew Stafford, returned to Detroit. And then you got Arizona. They should roll. You got
here. If I were to pick one team to cover their number, I'd probably go Tampa Bay, just because I don't see them giving up much on the run game against the Bears, and we all know the Bears need the run game to get going. And I just don't think Justin Fields is there yet to be able to compete with the Bucs at this point in his career. I don't think he's developed enough as a passer, so I'll go with the Bucs here, -11.5. And the one underdog to cover, no, that's a good question, but I'll go with the Lions here, man. The Lions are scrappy. They play for their coach. Somehow Campbell gets them to play for them week in and week out. They're not that good. I know I'm saying I got to trust Jared Goff, but it's a little bit of a revenge factor here. Jared Goff is playing against the Rams. I know Stafford's playing against his old team too in the Lions, but I think Stafford wants to show McVay that he lost something good. So give me the Lions in the 16.
To cover, I agree. I think you got to go with the Lions, even though it is Goff and he's been horrible without McVay. But it's against the Rams. It's got to be a pretty emotional game for him, and he's been playing pretty crappy. This would be a good game for him to get it back on track. That's a lot of points, over 2 touchdowns. I could see him losing by 14, and that's still covering. And if one was going to cover for me as a big favorite, it's going to be Arizona at home. You got
like that.
Davis Mills, rookie quarterback on the road. He's been horrible on the road. He's only thrown 1 touchdown this season on the road. So, J.J. Watt, DeAndre Hopkins, they're going to be looking to make some big plays against their old team, and that one should be a rout.
What about you, Ron?
I agree there. I was one of the guys who was on fucking Ben's X last week and the Texans +10, and they got absolutely routed, bro.
Yeah.
I think like 30-3 or some bullshit like that. So I like that. I like Arizona covering there. If there was a team I'd have to, that was going to cover the spread, I would agree with Roland and say Detroit at LA. They're not going to go in and get the win at SoFi, but again, they are a scrappy team. That Dan Campbell, they play for the coach. Bucks spread, it's kind of iffy because they went to New England and they barely won there on the last game field goal. They have injuries also to the offensive side. The defense is very suspect. So I think out of those 3, Arizona, LA, and Bucks, the Bucks is probably the one that you want to lay off, and Arizona could easily cover with the offensive power that they have there. And then LA 16. I mean, that's still a lot, man. And I think Detroit covers there, so that's my take on those
We're all
3.
in Detroit. We might have to take them.
Hey, just Liverpool 3, Man U 0, 40 minutes in.
I took Liverpool team total over 1.5. So
damn,
cash my bet.
Hey, since they hit 3, that means you cashed the ticket twice because they doubled.
There we go. I wish they paid out like that, but oh well. If there before we move on from this slide, is there a matchup here that you've already bet straight up that you didn't make your card for the top 3 that we all gave out for the super contest, Ben?
Not for me, no.
Nah, same, bro, same.
Pretty weird week with the bye weeks, right? Because there's a lot of the teams that you typically would bet on, the Bills, the Cowboys. They're
no shitty teams have buys.
Yeah. The Cowboys and Bills are 2 bad teams to have on bye, and especially the Chargers too.
And we actually talked about it last night. We at the party that we were at, me, Julio, and Wally and Peck. We were talking about that. There's been a lot of chalk, bro. The first 5-6 weeks, a lot of guys are hitting bets. There's been a lot of chalk, and now the lines are you're kind of seeing the reaction from Vegas, like
17, 16.
Seeing lines 12. Like 18, 16, 12. I mean, so
yeah, that's true because the beginning of the year it's an adjustment period.
It's a tough week, yeah, man. Yeah, so maybe this is where you start looking at over and unders and kind of lay off the spreads for the week. Maybe you go into props here, team totals. So there's a lot of ways that you can bet, not just a side here.
Glad you brought that up because Ben was talking about off air that the public has been winning and the books have been getting beat.
And every Monday morning we wake up to some dude who needs this one team on Monday Night Football for a parlay to hit for $1 million. Every week it's been that same thing,
dude, for real.
You know what I mean? So, but like you said, props, one thing that I did like and I took was Kyle Pitts over 47.5 receiving yards. Like I'm reiterating, I'm expecting a big day from Matt Ryan. Kyle Pitts, balled out 130 yards his last game out. I think that the connection is there, and he's gotten that in 3 out of the 5 games. So
and props have been doing pretty good. As a podcast, the ones we've been giving out, the Thursday props all hit pretty much.
3-1. We went 3-1.
That's pretty good. But yeah, Ben, that's a good point. And Ron too, you brought it up about the public doing good against the books. I have a couple of lines here pulled up, and as far as the most heavily bet public lines, the Colts have a pretty big handle.
And that's because they're a dog. Wow.
The Panthers are probably the biggest public side. They're at 90%. 90% of the handle. The Patriots are close. The Packers are at 86% of the handle. And the Rams are at 83%. So
the Rams
at bet games
at minus 16.
People are betting the 16. People are laying the 16 with the Rams. Pretty big number.
think it's just fades of the teams that they're playing, though, because
True.
I mean, there's some pretty shitty teams in the NFL that there's usually that one team, that one team that's fighting for that win. But the Texans were surprised they even have one win, but that's just how crappy the Jags were. The Jags are horrible. The Jets are horrible. The Dolphins are horrible when you're losing to the Jags. There's a lot of bad football teams in the NFL, and I think that's why it also plays into why we're seeing these crazy lines. And then you're seeing teams win 30-3 against these squads, They're not even putting up a fight.
Very true. Good point.
I guess one of the last things before I guess we start talking about NFL, because I do want to ask, I guess, about baseball and some basketball before we
don't ask about baseball.
But, we got to get to it. We have to. It's only right. Sports. We're talking about sports here. But with the football,
fucking leaving.
The last question I want to ask is, off the top of your head, can you guys have a top 5 teams in the NFL? We're already 6-7 weeks through. I think we just talked about, with Vegas adjusting. I think a lot of it's because there's some new teams out there that are, proven to be, I guess, the cream of the crop for the NFL. Do you guys have a top 5 in mind?
I can go top 5 just straight off the top, and I'm just going to give some respect, and I'm going to put the Arizona Cardinals at number 1. Because up until last week, they weren't even in anybody's top 5. I think that they keep getting questioned, and they keep performing, and they keep winning, and it's usually not close. They had that one game where they had to kick the game-winning field goal, but they've been dominating. So I'm going to put them at number 1 where they belong because they haven't lost. If any of these other teams were undefeated, the Chiefs, the Bills, the Rams, the Bucks, they would all be number 1. So let's just give them their respect until they get taken off of that seat is where I'm at. I got the Bucks number 2. I got the Bills number 3. I've got the Cowboys number 4. And at number 5, I have the Rams.
Yeah, I honestly, I can't argue with that. I would maybe move around some of the teams. I'd probably have Arizona. I still have the Bucks at 2. I'd probably have the Bills at 3. No, actually, no. I'd have the Rams at 3, the Bills at 4, and the Cowboys at 5, probably. Something like that. I just take Bills off a little bit because they lost to the Titans in a high-scoring affair. So, but the top 5 is pretty much the same. I can't argue with any of those.
Joseph says the Ravens in his top 5. Ron, do you? I mean, me and Roland have the same top 5, just in a different order. Is there a team that you would put in there that we didn't mention?
I don't think so. I mean, as far as the top 5 goes, the teams on the outside looking in, I would put the Ravens there. The Packers could be there as well. The Chargers, these are teams that could potentially be there. Yeah, the Packers, the Chargers. But as much as I hate not to put my Cowboys as number 1, I mean, you got to go with Arizona, man. I mean, they're fucking balling the fuck out. Defense is playing well, offense is playing well, and that's why I would have Cowboys as my number 2 in front of the Bills. It's a little bit of a homer pick there and in front of the Rams, but their defense is playing well. The offense, as we know it, Dak's a little banged up, but I would go Arizona, Cowboys.
So the pool workouts have been going good.
And then you could slide in the Bills there at number 3, and then, close it out with, just like teams like you mentioned, the Rams and Bucks. The Ravens. I mean, yeah, the Bucks, the Bucks as well. I don't know, man. For some reason, the Bucks are just a little suspect to me, man, because of their defense. You're bringing in guys like Richard Sherman, So and
he was trying to bang on doors.
But it is early in the season, and teams tend to get healthy. Yeah. They get healthier, and at healthy, I think that you can argue the Bucks might be number 1 if they're fully healthy.
But I do like Joseph's point, man. I mean, the way that Lamar is fucking playing this year is just
you got to give Lamar Jackson his respect.
Yeah, so I mean, I could see the Ravens there sliding in at 5.
And I was gonna say, Ben,
about it
this week. You had Lamar Jackson on your top 5 quarterback list last season, not this past season, but last season you had him there like at number 2. And shoot, I think
a lot of shit.
I'm saying you can argue that he's playing top 3, top 5 quarterback status this season. I'm not saying that that's where he should be ranked, but in terms of how he's playing right now, I mean, he has to be in the MVP discussions at the very least. I mean, the way his team utilizes him, he's their best running back and he's their quarterback.
and they're in a division that people were arguing could be the toughest division in football. So, his MVP odds were plus 1,200.
Yeah.
I think that's a lot of value still in Lamar Jackson. As long as they keep winning and he's getting his 300 total yards a game, not necessarily all passing, can be running, it can be passing. Although he's shown that he took that next step in passing this year. If it wasn't for those drop passes, he would have a lot more touchdowns. But I think I was early on Lamar maybe last year a little bit, but I did think that he was that good. But Hollywood Brown, I think a lot of people expected him to bust out maybe last year, the year before. Hollywood Brown has been the game changer out wide for the Ravens.
He's finally coming through for what his draft status was. I mean, he got drafted in the first round. He was a top 15 pick by the Ravens.
Yeah.
And he's coming through. He's finally giving them that deep threat that they missed.
The interesting thing is the two guys that are up for contracts are Lamar Jackson and Baker Mayfield. They're the two
you
quarterbacks.
pay Lamar.
But how is that going to affect the Browns and Baker? Do they pay Baker? Do they franchise Baker? Is that where we're going with Baker? Franchise?
Baker's going to be. I think so. He's going to be in that Kirk Cousins situation. He's going to get franchised because they like him, but they don't love him. Because if they loved him, they would have paid him.
For sure. They would have already at least tried extending him, and they haven't even started.
And he's already, and the thing is, I don't dislike Baker. Don't get me wrong. I don't. I think he can be a decent quarterback, and I give a lot of decent quarterbacks the benefit of the doubt because there's only 32 quarterbacks in the NFL, and to be decent, you have to be in the top half of the league. Now, I don't know if he's even at that status right now. The way that he's been playing, he's really had a down year at the wrong time. It is a contract year for him. The one thing that he had working in his benefit. What was that long list of names on that jersey for the Browns? And them saying, hey, look at all these quarterbacks, and now you finally get Baker. You got to pay him. You can't let him go. Now it's like, well, we can franchise him and maybe franchise him again because these quarterbacks in the upcoming draft, it's not worth like completely dispatching Baker Mayfield and trying to get somebody in the draft because I don't think there's anybody there that you would plug in. So weird situation, but back to Lamar, you got to pay him. You got to wrap him up.
Is Lamar going to set the new record for quarterback money? Do you all think or no?
No, I don't think so. I think he'll get close to like maybe what Dak is making. I think he might get to that status because there's no doubt about it, man. I mean, he is their best running back. Even if Dobbins was there, I think he's their best running back. Dobbins would probably take a lot of the load off of him for sure, but the way that they run their offense and the way that he's turned into a passer, I think he's worth every penny. I like Lamar Jackson a lot.
Ron, what do you think, Ron?
Dude, I mean, he is the squad. I mean, he is the squad, bro. I mean, you mentioned Hollywood Brown, earlier, and if you're relying on guys like Hollywood Brown to be your deep threat and then take you to the promised land like that, that's just not going to happen. So you clearly pay Lamar. As far as the money goes, I don't know if he sets the new standard. I don't know if he gets that Mahomes money, just because I think it's that amount is so fucking ridiculous that fucking Patrick that Mahomes got. But Roland's right. You don't give him less than Dak. I'll tell you that. You don't give him less than Dak because he does have the credibility as of last year to get to the playoffs, to take the team there.
He's got that first round bye in the AFC. I mean, he's done it all except win consistently in the playoffs. We saw him get his first win last year. But I think that per year money, I think that he could be close to pushing. I don't think that Lamar's a guy that what was Mahomes' deal? Was it 10 years or 7 years?
It's 10 years for $500 million or something.
I don't think you don't do that with Lamar. I don't think that you commit to Lamar for 10 years. He's not that quarterback. No. But right now in his prime, you got to pay
for the next 4 or 5 years.
You got to pay him for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah. I could see like a 6-year ceiling. They won't give him more than 6 years. As far as Baker, I mean, he's been there for the transition of the Browns getting out of the fucking shitter and finally making the playoffs and having this winning mentality a little bit.
You're a big Browns guy, Ron.
I am, bro.
You're a big Browns guy.
And I said it when we were doing the divisional shows that they were going to do good. Baker was going to do good, and they were on that track until last week. When the injuries, popped off with his shoulder, and then OBJ, Jarvis was out. He was on IR. He just came back last week. But that's why I like the franchise tag.
Yeah,
because of the injuries and because there's a little bit of turmoil right now, and it's week 6. I think week 2, week 3, week 4, you're thinking like, shit, we might not have to break the bank for this guy, but we have to pay him. And now it's kind of like they've been giving a lot of points defensively. I think they gave up like 38 or 37 points their last 2 games. Yeah. And they did get the win, but it was ugly, and it was against a shitty team last week. Baker obviously didn't even play, so you could see a possible franchise tag and then figure out what you're going to do with the offensive side of the ball, because a lot of people think that OBJ's not even going to be here next year. Juice is, he's an OG. He's, obviously they have the running game also as well, but franchise tag Baker.
The thing is, if you franchise tag him, it's not like he can show you like, hey, I am that guy. You're just franchise tagging him playing the waiting game, because we're past the point of, is Baker a franchise quarterback? I think we can all clearly say he is not a franchise quarterback.
I just think that Baker's camp is going to come out and want Chingos de Feria, and Cleveland's
that's every quarterback's camp, cuz.
Well, yeah, but not every quarterback. Every quarterback that's in that position, So yeah, I think Baker's camp comes out wanting cash, and I don't know if Cleveland's willing to pay it, and then that's why that's the only reason I say a franchise tag, because I think to himself he's gonna want all this cash. The Browns aren't gonna want to do it.
I like the franchise tag for Baker, and also I think you brought up a good point with Case Keenum winning this Thursday night matchup for them. Is the Browns? They're one of the few teams that are built to go without maybe having the best quarterback in the league, because you have the run game set up and you have the offensive line set up.
Even though the running backs are both hurt.
Yeah, even though you put in Ernest Johnson and he goes for 150.
No shit.
It's a system. It's a system. Yeah. It's plug and play.
Exactly. So they can go without the quarterback maybe. So that's the one big thing I think is working against Baker, is that they don't need the big QB. And he isn't that guy either, though. I mean, if he was, maybe they wouldn't be so reliant on the run. So I don't know. That's one thing to look out for the rest of the year for sure. Anything else on the NFL for you guys for this Sunday?
Nope, that's all I got.
Nah, man. The Cowboys ain't playing, so.
All right. Well, here are our socials. You guys can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, even on Instagram, and I think we even have TikTok. We haven't been posting on there, but we are on TikTok. Ron, why don't you tell them about the like and subscribe and all of that?
Yeah, bro. I mean, shit, man. We'd fucking appreciate all the fucking subscriptions, all the shares, that you guys can, give us and stuff. Like I mentioned before, I think we're about a little over 60 subscribers. So we appreciate that. I mean, tremendously, man. So I know we have a lot of OGs on here, a lot of guys who follow us a lot of real loyal homies. So if you guys could, share that as well. If you don't have, YouTube, which everybody does, but you have to have a YouTube account to be a subscriber. Dude, we did the DraftKings free entry. Somebody won $50 just because they follow us on Twitter. So if you guys want to do that as well, the Twitter's up there, the Facebook. I think Justin just did a Reddit account as well. So help us out. We're in week 6. We got a lot of football left. We got a lot to talk about. NBA just started up. Ben and Justin do the MMA hour. So we cover MMA as well.
This coming week, there's a lot of stuff coming up. There's a big pay-per-view, so for sure we'll have an MMA tap hour. The World Series starts on Tuesday, and our beloved Astros are in it. So we're going to have to do a little something where we talk some World Series, maybe a little 15-minute World Series preview video before the World Series starts. And like y'all mentioned,
trash-ass World Series.
Who's in the World Series?
It's the Astros against the Braves. The Astros and
the
Braves.
Okay. Since I have time right now. Hey, wait. We didn't have Muncy. We didn't have fucking Max Scherzer's being a bitch and saying that he has arm fatigue. We lost Justin Turner. He got hurt 2 games ago. Who's that other fucking pitcher who
Hey,
was
bro,
over
we're
there?
without Verlander. We're without McCullers.
Come on. Yeah,
after,
but that's
after that, nobody knew Astros pitcher's name unless you watched him religiously. And we're in
Greinke.
the World Series. Greinke, he's not starting. We're without him.
But look at the road that you had, where you had the White Sox, which weren't a great team, and then you played.
You love the White Sox.
And then you play and then you play the Red Sox, who were like bottom of the barrel there.
The hottest hitting in baseball. Hitting team.
The Red Sox are the fucking LA Dodger rejects. They had Kike and Verdugo there. I mean, you have the easy fucking road to the World Series, bro. If I've ever seen one, I'll tell you that.
Hey, it's gonna be a good matchup. I like it. The Braves first time since 1999, right? Something like that.
Give me the Braves, bro. Get Freddie Freeman his fucking ring, man.
Hell no, we don't need that. This might be Correa's last year with the Astros. Let's win one for Dusty. Dusty's never won one as a skipper. Let's win one for Dusty.
Yeah, there we go. I'm looking forward to it. Sports definitely heating up. And without further ado, just want to talk about it one time. It's the NBA. You guys like anything the first 2 games of the season? You've been watching the Rockets. They got their first dub. They beat the Thunder.
The Thunder are going to be horrible.
Yesterday.
The Thunder are going to be horrible this season, but yeah, watch the Rockets. Watching all the young guys play, they haven't really had a good performance. It's been Christian Wood that's been leading the way for them. But nice to see them win when teams like the Lakers are 0-2 and
0-2.
Calm down.
And it's looking like a kitchen on the hell.
AD and
Chef
Dwight
from
Howard
hell.
almost.
It looks horrible. They're fighting over top 75 rankings. You got LeBron telling Russ to go home and watch a comedy movie after game one.
LeBron getting in fights with Campaign. What is this? What does the world come to?
Man.
LeBron's Campaign's getting under LeBron's skin.
How many guys get traded by the trade deadline is what I want to know. Because there's no way this roster makes it to the playoffs. No way.
You know what this roster reminded me of when I think LeBron was in Cleveland that year, and they had all these fucking badass players, and then they ended up trading everybody before the trade deadline. And I don't think that happens though. It's their first year playing together. You got to give it time. I like to see the competition, regardless if it's with your own squad or against the other team. So, and to Justin's point, Jock Peterson in the World Series, another ex-Dodger, as I might add.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
For NBA, Roland, what's been your biggest takeaway?
Roland loves NBA, so Roland's ready.
I love the NBA. I've been watching as much as I could. The Spurs, me and Ben were talking about it off air. I mean, I got the cap on. I got to mention it. I've been able to watch them on the regional channels, which is a change from last year, so that's been good. Caught the first few games. They've been competitive, but my big takeaways have been the Bucks, man. I think the Bucks. They've already started off with that game against the Nets, first game of the season. They got the dub. I know the Nets were without Kyrie, but I think the Bucks, even though they got the championship, they were overlooked, I think, a lot in this offseason, as crazy as it sounds. And throughout the first 2 games, I think they've proven to me that I think at least right now, they're my favorite to win the NBA championship after what I've seen. I think Giannis is hitting his stride as probably the best player in the league. Right there with KD, it's pretty close for me now. But yeah, give me Giannis and the Bucks from what I've seen. I like what I see. And then first game of the season, Ben, I told you, Jaylen Brown. He looks like a monster.
Jaylen Brown's a beast. Yeah. Another team that is going to be pretty down is the Toronto Raptors, man. I mean, right now Siakam is out, but Fred VanVleet and Scotty Barnes are leading the way for them, and they just don't have enough scorers out there. The Toronto Raptors, so it's going to be interesting. I mean, it's only been a week, but NBA, we got games every single day, so it's that soap opera that keeps you busy. And I don't know if I got fooled by this Bleacher Report thing today, but it said that the Nets were listening to trades for Kyrie. I don't know how much truth is behind that.
Well, man,
fuck Kyrie.
He hasn't shown up. There's no word that he's going to show up, or no word that he's going to follow through the protocol for what the NBA has for COVID. There's no word on any of that. So why would the Nets keep this guy? And then speaking of keeping guys, the Simmons situation, man, there's a lot of stuff going on in the NBA.
That
Ben
guy's
Simmons
fucking
with
terrible,
the Sixers.
They need
And
to trade for each other.
Whose trade value is higher? Ben Simmons, right? Because he can be on the court at least.
100%. No. Kyrie, 100%.
Yeah, but Kyrie can't play in New York.
Yeah.
It's just, but put him in Texas, and I mean, he's fine, But the headache that comes with Kyrie is just you don't like what you
I'd
see.
rather have Simmons.
You don't like what you see from Simmons when shit hits the fan. The way that he, pouts, and although Doc Rivers and Joel Embiid did throw him under the bus after the playoffs last year, you can't feel good about going back and playing for that team and knowing how those guys really feel about you. When you lose, so. He's just not acting. I mean, he should have done this hurt thing from the beginning. He shouldn't have just been holding out and then get suspended, and now your back hurts.
And Alex, good point. It is the state of New York. They do have that mandate where you have to be vaccinated.
Kyrie's a fucking cancer, bro. I mean, I think
You could say that.
I agree.
Kyrie's a cancer. I mean, somebody put up the meme in our group chat, and like the banners are hanging from the rafters,
and
he
was burning it with the sage.
Yeah, he's like burning them with the sage. I mean, he left Cleveland because he couldn't get along with LeBron or whatever. He didn't want to be that guy. Like,
a little brother,
dude. Like, he got you a ship, bro. You know what I mean? Coming from college where you played like 4 games at Duke and you go to a team. I mean, he put in his dues. He got drafted by Cleveland and they weren't great. And then LeBron gets there, whatever. But then he's like, all right, I want to be the guy. I'm the daddy. You the baby. So he goes to Boston, shits the bed there, and then he comes to Brooklyn. Like, how do you get that lucky to go from winning a ship in Cleveland with LeBron? Then you go to you could potentially say it was a potentially stacked team there in Boston.
And Tatum and Brown, yeah.
And then you go to fucking New York with KD and
Harden.
And fucking Harden, and you still shit the bed there? Like, dude.
He finds a way.
Like, NBA players would dream of having a career like yours and being on those squads with those players.
Imagine
and you're still shitting the bed, bro.
Imagine
come on.
Put Dame in that position. Like, imagine if Dame had the opportunities that Kyrie's had. We might be talking about Dame as maybe like an all-timer.
Yeah, Hall of Famer. Like
positions that Kyrie has been.
Finals MVP, kind of shit like that, man. So Kyrie is a cancer to me. He's gonna end up on a squad that, needs a big name to kind of attract attention there. And as far as Simmons, bro, that I don't understand how you're in the NBA and do not have a jump shot. Like, this guy cannot make a jump shot to save his fucking life. And another guy who was put in a good situation there in Philadelphia with, Embiid, and they went to the playoffs. They have a good coach, and he just doesn't get it done, man. So
and they were very patient. He sat out,
the process, all that shit.
They've been patient as hell. What I'll ask you all is, and we can end it on this, going back to that trade, Luka and Trae Young on draft day, who won that trade?
That's a tough question. I'll let Roland get it because he's the NBA guru.
It's still close. I think it's still out for debate, but I think the Hawks have done more with that trade and have gotten more out of that trade because you get Trae Young, who is very, very comparable to what Luka is as a player. I don't think Luka is like head and shoulders over Trae Young. I think it's very close. Depends what you like more. In my opinion. But the Hawks, man, they've done a way better job of building around Trae Young. The Hawks are a very, very deep squad. They got a lot of that with some of those picks that they got from the Mavericks. And the Mavericks, in my opinion, are just Luka. I mean, they went for KP. That's been a whiff so far. And then Tim Hardaway Jr., who's turned out to be a solid player. But if Luka's not putting up 40 – 17 rebounds and 17 assists, the Mavericks aren't winning games. So I'll go with the Hawks to date.
I like that pick. I mean, it's very similar, man. One player hasn't had a way better career than the other guy. We saw what Trae did in the playoffs last year. We saw what Luka did in the first round last year, those first couple games as well. So I don't think you can say one team won more than the other. But to Roland's point, I do like what they're putting together in Atlanta. I'm a big John Collins guy. I mean, he's a great player there. and Luka just doesn't have that around him. Just like Roland said, I mean, not to sound like a broken record, but they put KP there. He left New York, and he's injury prone, and sometimes he goes off and sometimes he doesn't. So it's I think there's a better squad around Trey that's going to give them the better opportunity to go further in the playoffs, and it's Luka or bust for the Mavs.
Yeah, I'll wrap it up just with my thoughts, and I think that I agree with you all about what the management has done. But I mean, we saw Don Nelson leave the Mavs. We saw the GM leave. We saw them take a step down in coaches, hiring Jason Kidd from Rick Carlisle. And then we saw them add nothing this offseason to that roster. Yeah. So they got a worse coach. They added nothing. I think they're putting way too much pressure on Luka, and he's not being put in a place to succeed. And it's surprising with an owner like Mark Cuban, who's usually willing to do whatever it takes, for the success of the team. So I mean, I'm going to be wrong based on my take early on, but Trae Young seems to understand the game of the NBA, and it comes pretty easy to him as well too. So the Mavs, I think that they have. I don't want to say that they're going to have a rebuild because I have them like in the play-in game, but they're on the verge if they don't get Luka some help, man. It could get ugly.
Luka kind of reminds me. I'm not saying that their games are mirror images of each other. But the situations, the way that their teams are built around them and what they're asked to do and kind of the way that they play, but not, like I said, a mirror image is James Harden. I think he's asked to do a lot of the same things that James Harden was asked to do when he was in Houston, be the primary ball handler, be the primary playmaker, and, pitch in with points, rebounds, and assists, just like James Harden was doing for so many years in Houston.
I like that.
What was the common theme with James Harden? He would, kind of flail out towards the end, whether or not that was, I don't think it's because he's a choker. Some of that is a little in there, but I think more of it was because he carried the team for 82 games out of the year. And then you add the playoffs, he's going to be a little bit tired. And you see that with Luka sometimes. He fades in games. He has super strong first halves in the playoffs. He goes off for 30 in the first half, and then he'll pitch in for 7 in the second half, and then you wonder what happened in the playoffs. I'm going to say for Luka. So I just bring that up because Luka's obviously he's not going to win the championship this year. Who knows what happens in the playoffs? But I'm just interested to see kind of what the narratives start to be around him if he doesn't have that success in the playoffs.
And then just to touch on the KP thing, how high is his ceiling as far as trade purposes? Like, what team is going to want him now? And what are you going to get back for him to help Luka? You're probably not going to get a lot, man. Yeah. So the Mavs kind of shot themselves in the foot there.
That KP to the Mavs reminds me of like Kevin Love going with the Cleveland. Yeah. You know what I mean? They were the man on their squad that wasn't that good, and they would rack up everything. And then, they're above average. They're a good player, but they're not that guy. And also the roles that they're asked to play, They want KP to stretch the floor. They wanted Kevin Love to stretch the floor for LeBron and for Luka. And it's, they're not option number one, so they have to switch up their game.
And we can talk NBA all day. We want to talk about it here a little bit.
We'll have an NBA shows.
And, we will be getting more into the NBA as the season goes on. And I think we might be throwing the NBA in maybe a little bit more on Thursdays after this Thursday, because this Thursday is a marquee matchup. It is the Cardinals versus the Packers. So that's a pretty good Thursday night football matchup. So we will be live for that. But after weeks 9 through 11, they're pretty bad matchups. I don't think anybody's going to be too interested, but we'll keep y'all posted. But we are going to talk more NBA as the season goes on. Anything else before we sign off, guys? Getting close to kickoff here.
That's it. I could smell the papa con huevo that Alyssa's cooking in the kitchen right now, boy. So we're about to go fucking eat that shit.
Later, guys.
Later, fellas.
Peace.